Hello my friends and welcome to Flying Circus Models. This is the second part of my current project Cl.II UHU from Revell painting. This will be a long video because it's a huge model and there is a lot I wanted to show. So let's go. First of all, before closing the both fuselage sides, we need to add some weight to the nose section. The instruction suggests to add around 70 grams. So I purchased a lot of lead fishing weight of different sizes. Then we need to find out the center of mass. So I used Tamiya masking tape and attached wings and both fuselage sides together. And to find the center, we need to put two fingers and slowly move them one to each other. Where they will meet, this will be the center of mass. In my case, it was somewhere in the end of wings. Then I added lead weights one by one and checked if the center moves to the nose. Once I found the right weight, I glued them behind the cockpit with super glue and blue tack. Spoiler, 70 grams is not enough and it's a good idea to add a bit more, and I would say 100 grams will be ideal. Now we can close and glue both fuselage sides together, and you can see how big the model is. It doesn't fit to the camera frame. The next step is to glue cannons, and I decided to have 4 cannons in total for this model, 2 in wings and 2 in the belly. 2 other belly ports I decided to make closed, and to do so I cut 2 cannons and 2 inner covers and glued them. Also, to make cannons more realistic, I marked and drilled their barrels. interesting part of the build now, but it may look very boring for some modelers, adding rivets. Even though this model has nice and thin panel lines, the plastic is lacking of rivets. I found online plans and converted them to the right scale and printed. Then marked the rivet lines with the pencil on each tail stabilizer, and with the help of my riveting tool added the rivet lines. I won't disagree that the process may look a bit boring, but it's very important to pay attention to each line. Because if you make the error, you will need to sand the line and start it all over again. Here you can see the difference between the parts with and without rivets. And here both stabilizers were riveted. The tail section has huge gaps on the bottom side, so I decided to use white putty to cover them. Also, I used putty here and there on the fuselage and wings too, not a lot, but in many places. When the part is dried, I sanded them with a quite aggressive 220 grit sandpaper first and reduced the grit slowly to 400 and 600 in the end. In some places, especially on the bottom of the fuselage section, I had to remove the excess plastic with the knife even. And of course, after sanding, some panel lines were lost, and I had to rescribe them in various of places on the fuselage, tail and wings. Once all panel lines were rescribed, I added rivets on both wings and fuselage section. Overall, the riveting process took about 2 full evenings without putty, sanding and rescribing panel lines. But it was all worth it, because the model looks much better. Now it's time for exhaust. Because this plane was a night fighter, it had the special exhaust covers, so I decided not to drill all pipes and drill just the last ones. And actually that wasn't necessary too, you will hardly see them. The wing joints will be visible through the landing light, and it's not very convenient to sand it, so I decided to glue the cover to the light instead. I cut it from the plastic sheet and glued with the super glue. One more close look on the fuselage rivets and we can glue the wings. And while I'm doing that, please don't forget to subscribe and support me on the Patreon. If you haven't done this for some weird reason, thank you so much. Okay, wings were glued together and I had to apply a very little amount of putty on the top. For the painting, I purchased a special kit from Hataka. It has all paint colors I will need for this model, and they even have my plane as the box art, which is amazing. I started to paint from the bottom side, and it's very simple, just cover everything with one RLM22 black paint. There is no point to do any pre-shading because the main color is black and you will not see anything. I painted all bottom sides, as I said before, and covered the bottom side of the fuselage till approximately 2/3 of it. Then I put the model aside for the paint to dry, and using RLM70 I painted both propellers. In order to make them a bit more realistic and add used effect, I use the same RLM70 with few drops of white paint and with about 80% of thinner. And with the help of photo etch stencils, I applied that paint mix on the propellers. And hope you can see it there. All four exhaust pipes and their covers were painted with Tamiya XF64 red-brown color, and to add a soot effect I painted them with the steel color. With the same steel paint, I painted all radiators that are going to be hidden with the engine cowls, but I still added some aluminum dry brush effect. Propeller covers were painted with white first, and I used 2mm Tamiya masking tape for making spirals. Then they were painted with the same RLM22. Almost every inspection door and hatch on the bottom side of the wings were painted with the mix of RLM22 and gray colors, just not to have all even and boring bottom surface. Here you can see the difference in the colors and how lighter they are. Now it's time to remove masks from the propeller cowls. It became very well with only very little amount of overspray, and the top part of the spiral will need to be corrected just a bit. To protect the paint job on the bottom, I covered it with the layer of feature. Once feature dried, I masked the middle of the fuselage and applied gray-violet RLM75 on the top sides of the wings and fuselage. First, I wanted to paint it with the RLM76 light blue, and then applied RLM75 with the freehand. But I checked archive photos and videos, and they actually did come in this way back in the days. Light blue lines on top of the gray-violet base. And who am I to do it in a different way, right? Thus, all remaining parts were covered with RLM75 first. The camo lines were painted with freehand, and I had around 50-50 mix of paint with thinner, and the air pressure was about 1 psi. Just tried to match the pattern on the original photos, even though they are in the bad shape. When I was painting them, I was thinking that it looks like the electricity lines or lightnings. But the more lines I had, the less it looked like that to me. This camo scheme was a very time-consuming and took few days to finish it. Even my compressor didn't want to finish this in the same day, and it overheated several times, and I had to wait until it cooled down. I even put a small fan to cool it faster. I didn't have masks for the clear parts, so I put Tamiya masking tape and with the help of toothpick and sharp scalpel blade made my own. All clear parts were masked and painted, and I painted them with the layer of interior Tamiya XF63 first, and with the light blue RLM76 after. Now we can remove masks, and I'm very happy with the result. I had a very small amount of overspray, and these can be fixed very easy. The exhaust was painted with the red brown, and to protect all paint job and to prepare the model for decals, I covered it with one more layer of future. And I wanted to say a huge thank you to all my Patreons and who support me on YouTube. And that's it for this episode. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press like button and leave your comments below. I read and reply to all of them. Also, if you would like to support my channel, you can do it on Patreon, where you can see my videos early. Also, I share some interesting pictures there. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episodes.